the ACC where they're strong defenses, but he still went nuts on a few of them.
Yeah.
Amari's went nuts on everybody.
Yeah.
On every strong defenses in there, he goes nuts.
Well, you said Hargrave is probably one of the best corners in college football.
But the bad part was Vernon wasn't guarding the whole game. The times they were, Vernon was getting a little antsy with him. But the other times where he wasn't going guard, he was running down the field and they were throwing bombs to him against Florida. Yeah. Vernon wasn't on him, but when Vernon was on him, Amari got a little and Vernon got a little. That's what I said. Vernon Hargraves, when he comes out, he's going to be a great pro. Right. And he'll be one of those guys that goes in the top 15 in the draft as a corner when he comes out. But he gave Amari fits, but Amari still had 170 yards against Florida.
Yeah.
But he wasn't getting guarded exclusively. And that's another thing. Alabama looks for those weaknesses too, and as soon as they spot it, they go right after it.
How good is it that TCU is not getting this little recognition that they have been getting? Because I thought Boynton is playing as pretty well as quarterback as he's been playing. Solid quarterback. I mean, I know they're a high-scoring offense too.
Well, their defense too.
And their defense is pretty decent. So that's why I say I'm glad they get this recognition. And this is for, all these teams that complain like, okay, well, we're not getting this much recognition. That I think this is good for them. That better watch out. TCU is a talented team.
Oh yeah, but like I said, I don't expect them to be in the Final Four just because they lost to Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as Baylor does something, bless you. As soon as Baylor beats that quality team that TCU beat in Kansas State,
mm-hmm.
and with beating TCU, they'll move over past them. And you have to give when teams play head to head, you have to give the team that won the game benefit of the doubt, even if they had the same amount of losses. You have to automatically go, well, that team beat that team's going to be ahead of them.
Right. Well, Florida State, this is you. I'm talking to. I know I got a bunch of fans that is fans of the team. Like, you got your if it stays where it's at, you got your shot. Because I wish John was on the show because John had a nice little rant that he want to go off about the SEC bias and everything like that.
Well, if they beat Georgia Tech, they'll go back to third.
Yeah.
I promise you, you beat Georgia Tech, you'll go back to 3.
Mm-hmm.
I promise it. Because Georgia Tech, what are they ranked now? Georgia Tech should be in the top 10 now.
Georgia Tech.
Well, that's going to be wrong at the bottom because that was for the other day.
Updated.
But Georgia Tech
is still 11.
Oh, Georgia Tech's still 11. So you got to think they'll be playing at 11. So if they beat number 11, that'll move them back up to 3.
Yeah.
That'll move you back up to 3. So then you get Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to take care of business against Georgia Tech. So go out, take care of business.
This is going to be probably the best team they face.
This is the best team. Georgia Tech is the best team that Florida State faced. Not the best defense. Best team. The best defense Florida State faced was last week.
Yeah.
That was the best. I don't care what anybody says. That's the best defense they faced all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's defense was the best. And you can see why. They shut them down to make them 4 turnovers.
Right.
And Florida can score a touchdown. Florida State
put some pressure on them.
If Florida would have scored a touchdown or 2 off of those first 2 interceptions, Florida State would have got blown out of that game. Florida would have. You have to take into consideration and watch the game. If Florida had any gumption on offense, Florida State would have got blown out of that ball game. No question.
About the drop passes,
no question at all. If Florida had some competence on offense, Florida State would have gotten blown out.
Yeah, that's why I say Florida State doesn't impress me. And
Florida State would have literally got blown out of the building. If they would have scored a touchdown on the one that went back the other way on the pick 6,
mm-hmm.
Florida would have scored a touchdown right there with how mentally all out of it Jameis Winston was the whole game. Florida would have beat Florida State and beat them handily.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a friend of Florida. I'm a fan of Florida. I watched the stupid football game. I saw everything that went on. Florida would have won that game easily if they would have scored a touchdown or 2 on one of those interceptions.
Definitely.
If they would have ran back that one that they were running down, if they would have ran back that in, oh, shoot, it would have been, even if they would have made a field goal at the end of the game, all the pressure would have been on FSU and the way Jameis Winston was playing.
He just didn't like he was there.
Would you have wanted the ball in his hands at the end of the ball game with them down and the way he was playing the whole game? Or would you have if you were Florida State, would you have rather them handed the ball off to Cook the whole time and hoping Cook was going to get you down the field?
Yeah.
Which would you rather do? And that's a shame that you're having to ask that about a guy that was a Heisman-winning quarterback last year and was expected to be the number one pick in the draft coming into this year, and he's playing like absolutely. He played like a Florida quarterback during that game.
Yeah. Give credit to Florida defense. They did their part.
Florida's defense always does their part. We're so inept on offense that we cannot do anything. Same thing with the Alabama game. You score touchdowns against Alabama when we had all those turnovers in the first half. Who knows what would have happened? But we're so inept on offense because Will wouldn't keep his hands out of the offense. He always wanted to put his hands in the offense. No, man, that's why you hired people. Get away from it. Move away. Just run.
Yeah,
if Will would have ran the other way and let his coaches coach and handle themselves, they would have been fine. The offensive coaches could have done what they needed to do, implemented their system. Instead, Will wanted a certain system run, and we've seen what that done for us.
All right. As you know, college football is very getting interesting here, so we're going to keep a nail, of course, on this.
And then you got all the damn coaches.
So, yeah, all the coaches that now is getting fired. The Buddy.
Michigan's gone.
Yeah.
Hoke
is out of there.
He's gone.
Muschamp is out of there.
Florida's hiring. Florida is rumored to be hiring, which I've seen the picture. They have a freaking SUV in front of the dude's house that Jeremy Foley was in. So all signs are pointing to the guy from Colorado State is going to be the next Florida head coach. He was the offensive coordinator at Alabama before he took this job at Colorado State. The offensive coordinator which beat Florida with the Tim Tebow teams in 2009. So I don't know.
You don't know how to feel about it right now?
I don't know. People above my pay grade saying it's a good hire. I don't know. I want a guy that whatever.
All right, let's move forward here.
We'll see next year.
Yeah.
You'll get to hear me pitch next year if they don't do something.
All right, let's talk.
As long as he keeps certain people that were there under Will, like the defensive coordinator and everything. As long as you keep those guys, I'll be fine with you. But you start throwing everything in the muck, I'm going to be like, oh, my God.
All right, let's transition to the NFL and talk about Ray Rice, who was reinstated on Friday after winning his appeal at the indefinite suspension. Reasons they had these interviews, he spoke on NBC Today's show, and actually Janay Parker actually speaks out and actually spoke on her piece and everything like that. So, did you get a chance to catch that interview at all?
Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. I'm tired of hearing about it. Shut up. He popped the shit out of you and you're like, oh, it was my fault for doing this. Just shut up. You sound like a complete ignorant, dumb moron going, well, I did my part. No! He still shouldn't have punched you in the face.
Yeah.
Still shouldn't have punched you in the face.
Alcohol or non-alcohol.
Still shouldn't be playing in the NFL. But somehow he wins a damn appeal, but you got friggin' Adrian Peterson over here who can't win an appeal, who's out for the rest of the year.
Kind of message that's in.
The stupid inconsistency of the NFL's policies are retarded. Retarded. You suspended this guy for the year, and all of a sudden, because he appealed, he got it on there. But you're going to give this guy the appeal, but you're not going to give Adrian Peterson the appeal. When in my mind, what this dude did, 1,000 times worse. Well, not that, 100 times worse than what Adrian Peterson did. Adrian Peterson hit his son on the testicle. He was moving. We all squirmed when we were getting beaten. That's why he got hit there. Yeah. That's why he was moving. Did Marty took it a little too far? Probably yes. I'll say he probably took it a little bit too far. But you know what? When a man that big is spanking somebody, that's what's going to happen. He was spanking and disciplining his children. The only reason we got all involved in that is, like I said before, the baby's mama wanted to say something about it, and now she's wishing she would have shut her mouth and just let it go. Yeah. And they would have handled it upon themselves. But this is a whole different story. She should have just kept her mouth shut. It was all good until you want to go, I love my husband. I caused it. We were drinking. Blah, blah, blah. He knocked me out. the elevator helped. But I'm like, just hush.
I watched the interview and I was sitting there trying to put together what she was trying to say. Listen, I know what she's been through was hell, pure hell, what she's been through. And I don't know, man. I just find it hard to believe that you still can go something like that. Yes, we all make mistakes. But it's just when you see it, I guess when you hear domestic violence, like, okay, we get it. But when you actually see it, and we talked about this on the podcast we discussed Ray Rice, it just sticks with you, just seeing someone getting clocked like that. Yes, alcohol was involved. Yes, you don't...
Seeing him clocking her, it sticks with you like seeing that girl get uppercutted on the bus in Cleveland. Seeing the one girl get bitch slapped in the train by the one big gigantic dude. All this stuff sticks with you because you're like, it don't matter if you brought it upon yourself or not. The dude shouldn't do it. In some cases, you're like, well, damn, if I was in that situation, I would have done it too. But when this happened, like me and my wife have got in some heated argument. Don't get me wrong. Every couple will get in a heated argument now and then.
Yeah.
Know it, if someone goes to put their hands on you, you just throw your hands up.
Right.
You're like, hey, your first reaction is not to go, watch my left hand over here so I can hit you with the right. No, that's not your first reaction. Or in Ray's case, watch my right hand so I can hit you with the left. But that's not the case. You have to. I know alcohol is involved in everything, but it's no excuse. No excuse whatsoever. All she should have done, they should have left all this stuff alone. Stop trying to save face and do it. Just shut up. Go on with your life. You won the appeal. Now you're just trying to. Now it's basically the reason you came out and did this interview is because you're begging for somebody to give your man a job.
Yep.
And you want people to know that it was as much your fault as it was his fault. No. He won his appeal. He's doing that. If somebody wants to sign him, they'll sign him. You know the reason nobody wants to sign him? Because right now he's a washed-up running back. Not because that he knocked you out. Right now it's because he's a washed-up running back. That when somebody gets desperate and they're going to need a running back, they'll come to you.
Yeah.
But right now, the reason why he's not getting signed is he's a washed-up running back.
I guess it was good to hear her side, but everything like that. And I was trying to put it together, but it's still...
It don't make no...
It doesn't make any sense. I know you're trying to... And your mom was right there beside you.
You're basically trying to get your man a job.
Right.
Is what that interview come out to me as. It was much my fault as it was his fault. Somebody please give him a job. Blah, blah, blah. And that's basically what it came down to me. Is that she was just trying to save face and get him a job.
All I know is that if you was to say something, because not argument's going to happen again in a relationship like this. It does.
They do.
It happens. So it just make you wonder, like,
unless you have a mediator in between you to go tell her to pass the salt.
I wouldn't peg Ray Rice as a mean guy.
No, I wouldn't either.
Right. And so I hope he will learn from this and not hit his wife upside the head again and whatever she might have said. Like if you wanted to tell like why
because we know we said some stupid shit while
you should have told me what you said to him for him to hit you. That's the part I never got that part in the interview. That's what I was waiting on. Why did I get that part?
Did you say he was a stupid?
Right. What did you say to make him hit you? I never got that answer. You just like it was the worst night of my life.
Did you call him a stupid N-word or what did you say?
Yeah. What I was like. I was waiting. I was like, what did you say to get him that mad? But Matt Lauer was so nice. And no, ask the question that everybody want to know, Matt. What did you say to get Ray that mad? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I watched the Stone Cold Vince McMahon. I watched the interview with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. And he was asking Vince McMahon all these hard questions. That's what you do.
Right.
You ask the hard questions when you have people sitting in front of you. You don't go through all this like a begging for a job interview. You ask her, okay. So if you saying it was your fault, what did you say to Ray to make him pop you in the face?
That's what he said. Like, yeah, you said it was Ray's fault. What did you say?
Answer it. Why I'm not going to say no? Answer.
I don't want to relive those moments of my. It was the worst night of my life. Well, see, I don't know.
During your worst night of your life, what did you say? Oh, you can't remember. Did the concussion? What was it? But okay. They should have just left it alone because basically all it was her begging for somebody to give him a job.
All right.
All this basically was